Happy Tuesday, members of the Altcoin Buzz Army. Hope you're having a great one. Bitcoin up above $48,000 earlier in today's trading. That marks a new all-time high. I want to introduce you to this website, which is not one we've typically used, asset-.com, ranking the largest companies in the world. Typically, we've been using companiesmarketcap.com. This is a little bit of a different one in that you can compare and contrast all kinds of different assets. So in a little bit of an ironic twist, Bitcoin actually overtook Tesla yesterday in terms of its market cap. As you can see, the numbers here, 870 billion for Bitcoin versus 815 now billion for Tesla. That was right after Elon Musk's acquisition of $1.5 billion in Bitcoin. So we'll be getting to more of that in just a second. And of course, as you guys know, my argument is that many other companies are going to follow this strategy, this Michael Saylor playbook, which he's now shared with Elon Musk. But take a look at all of these companies: Apple, Saudi Aramco, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Tencent, all of those currently larger than Tesla, and many, many other hundreds of companies that are kind of, still large cap companies or SMEs. There are 4,690 companies that you can peruse here with, check this out, total market cap of these companies on now companiesmarketcap.com of $87.122 trillion. What if every one of these companies puts in $1 billion, $100 million, $50 million, $10 million, puts in 1 or 2% of their reserve USD into Bitcoin? That's the snowball effect that we're getting excited about, and it's something that's very realistic. In fact, there are already rumors circulating to that effect. So we're going to be discussing that. Of course, we're going to be discussing altcoins as well. If you like this kind of content, Bitcoin, blockchain, altcoins, and cryptocurrencies, be sure to like and subscribe to Altcoin Buzz. The total market cap right now is performing very nicely, up 6.8%. Bitcoin leading the charge here, of course, on the heels of this news, like I mentioned. It did touch up above $48,000 earlier. Ethereum hit a new all-time high in the wee hours of the morning today on the 9th of February. But here's what really struck me as a bit of a surprise. We have a couple of actually very strong performers. We have Luna just absolutely soaring. We have Harmony One. We have Tron actually that's doing really well for the first time in a long time. So kudos to all the Tron hodlers out there. But check this out. At position number 7, Binance Coin. Just totally surreptitiously now up over $100. I feel like last time I even looked at Binance Coin at BNB, it was like 65, 70, and I found that super impressive. Previous all-time highs were like in the $30 and $40 range, and it's just blasted past those, like effectively tripling them. So BNB right now at $105, up 42.8% in these last 24 hours. And although it's surprising, like it's not at the same time. I've been saying it for a long time. Binance is my favorite exchange when it comes to functionality, when it comes to a little bit more complexity in terms of its features, what you can do as far as leverage trading, futures, margin trading, and just the offering of all the altcoins that they have in their catalog. I love Binance. And BNB, of course, offers a model whereby you can avail yourself of those features at a discount, at a trading discount. And so much of the world is being onboarded right now onto new platforms. Binance, in my opinion, is the best there is out there. And so it comes as no surprise that their token, their utility token, BNB, will appreciate. I just didn't think it would happen this quickly. Again, $104 right now and 99 cents, up over 40% in these last 24 hours. Craziness, but at the same time, well-deserved. Of course, a lot of this craziness is being fueled right now by Elon Musk. We covered this in detail in yesterday's news, so not to rehash all of this, but of course, Tesla has bought up $1.5 billion in Bitcoin. Just because we heard about it yesterday, guys, doesn't mean that the news occurred yesterday. This likely happened weeks ago. Actually, some people are a little bit upset with Elon Musk saying that he created this smokescreen with Dogecoin, while kind of behind the scenes he was finalizing operationally either the Bitcoin acquisition or just in terms of the press release, his public message. So a little bit murky there, maybe in terms of the diversion, a little bit of sleight of hand there as far as kind of redirecting our attention where maybe it shouldn't have been. But hey, we're still happy with our boy, Elon Musk. Of course, as I mentioned, he's following the Michael Saylor playbook. Michael Saylor personally here congratulating Elon. Tesla has de-risked the acquisition of Bitcoin by public companies and accelerated the digital transformation of corporate balance sheets. Treasuries are now thinking about how to convert a non-performing asset, i.e. the US dollar or any other fiat currency, into the best performing asset, i.e. Bitcoin. Power Lunch tweeting about it here. Tesla bets big on Bitcoin, of course, buying 1.5 billion worth. And although we don't have any confirmation right now, I want to stress that this is just speculation. It's just kind of, stream of consciousness, kind of pontification. But there are reports. Well, first of all, it's guaranteed that others are going to step up to the plate, in some form or another and follow this strategy. Because again, Michael Saylor was the innovator. Elon Musk was the early adopter. He added credibility to that strategy. You are going to have others follow this strategy, especially once the success of MicroStrategy, once the success of Tesla is up on, on a pedestal under the spotlight for all to see. There are rumors right now, that's all they are. But according to an RBC report, that's the Royal Bank of Canada, Apple may be positioned to offer cryptocurrencies. Not exactly the same thing as what Tesla has done here, but let's dive into this report a little bit here. Apple has a, quote, clear opportunity to offer a buying and selling mechanism for cryptocurrencies, a move that would allow the company to immediately gain market share, according to a research report that was released yesterday from RBC Capital Markets. With its access to world-class software and a secure ecosystem, Apple could tackle the problem individuals face acquiring crypto assets due to know your customer laws and other regulations, with the company offering a closed system that prevents nefarious activity, improves asset security, and has instant access to buyers and sellers, the report said. Quote, if the USA owns the most crypto assets, whether it's Bitcoin or other altcoins, it would not make logical sense in our view to ban it, according to an RBC analyst in the report. So can you imagine if Apple, again, this is totally speculation for the time being, but I think there is some good logic to this line of reasoning. So can you imagine if Apple were to do to the world of cryptocurrencies and altcoin digital asset acquisition what they did to the world of music? Because think about it, before iTunes, all you really had were peer-to-peer services. You had, weird virus-ridden websites where you could download pirated music for free. But you did have peer-to-peer. You had LimeWire. You had Napster, for those that are old enough to remember Napster. But, even, in my case, I remember using, as a youngster, Napster, and I remember using LimeWire and that kind of stuff. And what was the other one? Kazoo or something like that? I don't even remember. But it got to the point where just the product offering that was available on iTunes it was so much less stressful. And I enjoyed using that because I'd rather pay $1 than, risk getting some virus or getting hacked on some website or downloading a file from an unknown individual on the peer-to-peer networks. And as great as Napster and LimeWire and some of those other ones were, I don't know, for me it was worth the convenience of paying $1 for music, and that just streamlined everything. It made it convenient. So if they were to take that approach, number one, in terms of a marketing angle, but number two, in terms of the infrastructure that they have, yeah, I think Apple has the ability to do something really special. And this is not even talking about a Bitcoin strategy for their balance sheets, for their reserves in US dollars, although that is also possible. So again, Apple right now, the largest company in the world, $2.3 trillion. They're just one out of 4,000 plus companies on this list. It boggles the mind. As soon as you have an announcement from one of these other big top 10s, I think that firmly pushes up the price of Bitcoin another $5,000, $10,000. So now we're looking at the $55,000 to $60,000 range. And from then, the effect, the phenomenon is only going to accelerate. It's only going to snowball because ultimately this is like an arms race. This is pure game theory. And it's going to get to a point where companies will not be able to justify the risk of not entering into Bitcoin. They're going to be necessarily forced into it by the competitive forces out there in the landscape. As Tyler Winklevoss puts it here, Bitcoin is mainstreaming exponentially. So we asked you guys in a poll, actually just from about an hour ago, we already have 1,000 respondents. Will BTC hit 50,000 this week? Do you think Bitcoin can hit $50,000 this week? Let's qualify that and define this week as ending, Friday. So at 11:59 in the evening, just before midnight. Do you think Bitcoin has what it takes to reach $50,000 by then, the next 3 days and change? I think the answer is yes. Going back to Tyler Winklevoss here, the next question that every public company CEO will now have to answer on their next earnings call is, why don't you own Bitcoin? And again, very importantly, that's what all of these thousands of companies are going to come face to face with. And at a certain point, the path of least resistance will be the acquisition of Bitcoin in some form or another. So exciting times, guys, to say the least, exciting times. Grayscale is another pioneer, of course. They're showing us what's possible here. Their new net assets under management figure, total AUM, $33.4 billion. Unbelievable. Grayscale, as we all know, have been adding to their Ethereum position. And the big news is that Ethereum futures are now live. They have been live since yesterday. Technically since, as I understand, Sunday, late afternoon, Sunday evening, like 5 p.m. on Sunday evening. So this is the new initiative from the CME Futures Group. And of course, I guess the concern was that, when Bitcoin futures went live in 2017, that's what kind of started, or that's what kicked off like the downfall, the shorting of Bitcoin, and the precipitous fall of that asset's price. And so some were suggesting that, if history repeats, that's going to be the case right now for Ethereum. But look, we just hit a new all-time high, as I mentioned in the wee hours of the morning, over $1,800, despite the fact that Ethereum futures have gone live. Now, I think that this news with Tesla and with Bitcoin kind of bolstering the entire crypto space, that's been a really good support for Ethereum during, times of relative uncertainty. But even without the Tesla news, I think Ethereum would have done just fine. I think it's going to continue to do just fine. It's going to blast past 2,000 and then 2,500 and then 3,000 and then probably 4,000 or 5,000 in my opinion. Just because the landscape right now is different. The environment is totally different. We're very early days in terms of Ethereum's potential here. More and more adoption is something that's being noted everywhere. Talking about decentralized finance, which is just exploding. Last time we checked in on this number, I think it was 31 or 32 billion. Fast forward a couple days now, 37 billion in total value locked TVL in the DeFi space. So personally speaking, and people have different opinions about this, but I'm not worried about the CME Ethereum futures. You can read more about them on cmegroup.com. But rest assured, there is a lot happening right now. And as we cover on altcoinbuzz.io, a lot of positive activity. The DeFi market milestone hit with 3,400% growth in 1 year. There are now more than 10 DeFi protocols with over $1 billion in collateral lockup. So just my personal subjective opinion, but I think that, I won't even say they're a positive for Ethereum's price, but I think the CME futures right now are at least a neutral, if not a positive, and they're certainly not a negative for the time being. There's just too much upside to be enjoyed at the moment where we stand right now. Going back to Tesla for just a moment, of course, they are a publicly traded company. And as such, they have to disclose any major acquisitions that they choose to undertake. So this is kind of where the news broke originally. This is the Securities and Exchange Commission website, sec.gov. You can see the information here pertaining to Tesla's acquisition of $1.5 billion in Bitcoin. And we'll link to this below if you want to read it over, if you so choose. Crypto.com talking about it. Planning to buy a Tesla with Bitcoin, because don't forget, they not only purchased Bitcoin, but they announced the fact that Bitcoin is now going to be a payments solution with Tesla. It's not the kind of thing that's been affected just yet. It's not currently in place, but we can expect to see it soon, apparently. So if you're planning to buy a Tesla with Bitcoin, trade at least $100 of BTC in the Crypto.com app, and you'll be entered to win one of 4 Teslas. Start trading now. You have until the 8th of March at Elon Musk here is CC'd. Lucky draw details. You can read more about it on blog.crypto.com, but one of 4 Teslas being given away. Not too bad. And as ever, guys, if you want to up and improve your crypto game, you can avail yourself of a Crypto.com MCO Visa card. You can check out the link. It's in the description. It's in the comments. If you sign up using our exclusive code AB, you're going to get $25 loaded on for free. We'll get $25 as well. It's win-win. We help grow the ecosystem, and you get to use the best Visa card in the game. So check it out. Again, details are in the comments and the description of this video. There's more and more macro news, positive news. So many people getting into this space. In fact, usually we'd slow down and cover them all a little bit more individually. But we're going to have to go through them rapid fire here because there's just so much happening on Cointelegraph.com, major Malaysian financial firm to invest in regulated crypto exchange. The Malaysian financial services firm Kenanga Investment Bank Berhad is getting into digital assets, along with many, many others. Major Thai Bank's venture arm sets up $50 million fund to invest in blockchain and DeFi, decentralized finance. Additional news here, CM Commercial Bank launches, again, $50 million DeFi and digital assets VC venture capital fund out of Japan. Their finance minister is announcing that the G7 will focus on emerging market debt, digital taxation, and digital currency, importantly. So the G7 to discuss CBDCs and digital taxation this week. So not to mislead you guys, the digital currencies they're going to be focusing on will be CBDCs, which are not really cryptocurrencies. They use some of the same technologies, of course, but CBDCs are centralized. They are just digital assets issued directly by the central bank. They are not cryptocurrencies in the sense that they're not decentralized, but believe me, the space overlaps. So that's going to be a main focus of the G7, and that's going to be coming up quite quickly, actually, on the 12th of February, and will be happening in Britain. So the meeting will commence on the topic of CBDCs, but the Japanese minister noted the G7 will also discuss the implementation of digital taxation and emerging debt problems. That digital taxation is not something I want to launch into right now, but that's a bigger story, and that's something that's going to be a growing, I shouldn't say concern, but a growing variable that we all have to keep in mind as the years and the decades go by. More good news here. The good news train don't stop. Billionaires pushing crypto. We're now seeing multiple billionaires pushing crypto beyond just Elon Musk, of course. Mexico's third richest person changes Twitter bio to include Bitcoin. If you've never heard of this individual, Ricardo Salinas Pliego, Empresario Mexicana #Bitcoin. So there you go. As Tyler Winklevoss said, yes, this is the exponential mainstreaming of Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is relatively agnostic when it comes to, what your social class, where you hail from, your background. It benefits everybody, billionaires and beggars alike. There's no downside. Forbes is covering more and more aggressively Miami Mayor Francis Suarez, who's talking about Bitcoin and building up a technical innovation hub in that particular city, with some really innovative proposals, including the idea of paying on a volunteer basis, of course, but those that are interested, those municipal employees, paying them in Bitcoin upon request, which I think is awesome. Cointelegraph is covering that here. Miami Mayor aiming for the most progressive crypto laws. Quote, "We want to make sure that we believe that if all things are equal, we win." That's a quote by Mayor Francis Suarez, who, along with Russell Okung and Michael Saylor, is quickly emerging as one of my favorites in this space. Politicians are going to pander to what's popular, and if that's what the constituency in Miami wants, then he's going to respond to that demand. But I think part of it is genuine. Obviously I've never had a discussion with Francis Suarez. I don't know him personally or anything, but there's something about his angle that he does seem genuine. He seems like he's on the side of the philosophy, if you will, of Bitcoin. And he's not just pandering to people that are bugging him on the issue. I could be wrong, but that's my take. And he's a cool guy in my book. Okay, shifting over to some altcoin news. We've kind of dealt now with all of the positive macro news. It's just a deluge. Every day we get more and more positive macro news. So I do feel like it's important to cover, but we're now shifting over to our bread and butter, our namesake, which are altcoins. Enjin, with this tweet here from yesterday, which crypto projects are worth looking at besides Bitcoin? We've covered some of these. They are some of our favorites, but the important story here is that Forbes is covering them, and Enjin has come in at number 2 on Forbes' list. So check this out, Forbes.com. That they're no strangers to Bitcoin. They're no strangers to Ethereum or XRP, certain other high-ranking altcoins, perhaps. But this is just like the expansion of their areas of interest, and by extension, their reader base's interest, right? Forbes is a for-profit company. They publish articles that, are going to do well, presumably, with the readers. And it seems like the readers have this appetite now for not only cryptocurrency, but altcoins, which is great to see. So beyond Dogecoin, what cryptos are worth buying besides Bitcoin? And this is a list that, I gotta say, like, this is a step in the right direction, I would say, for Forbes, in that these aren't like, household names just yet. Some of them, of course, you guys, I'm sure all of them you guys are familiar with. But I think Forbes has made some great selections here, listing Chainlink at number 1, Enjin coin at number 2, Polkadot at number 3, Uniswap at number 4, and coming in at number 5, VeChain. So 5 pretty good selections, at least in my opinion. And, these aren't micro cap projects. They're not like $1 or $2 million projects. They're fairly substantial, fairly beefy. But I don't have a problem with any one of them. So as far as Forbes reporting here, as far as their journalism, like I'll give them an A on this one. I think that's fantastic. Chainlink, Enjin, Polkadot, Uniswap, and VeChain. I love all of those projects. I hold all of those projects, I think. I got to go back and check. But I'm a supporter of all of those projects, certainly. So great selections by Forbes. And again, it's not news to us. This isn't anything too revolutionary. But for a Forbes reader that's reading about Chainlink or Uniswap or VeChain for the first time, like, this is awesome. This is how information and hype spreads in an organic way. So I'm very happy to see that. Paid Network in the news. Our friends over at Paid_Network are pleased to announce that Paid will join Polkadot DeFi, a platform that connects the dots across Polkadot Network by bringing together industry leaders and projects who believe in and want to propel Polkadot alongside global blockchain adoption. Paid Network will join the Polkadot DeFi Alliance. That's the Decentralized Finance Alliance. This news from yesterday. You can read about it on paidnetwork.medium.com. Polkadot News also tweeting about Paid and SpiderDAO. SpiderDAO will utilize Paid Network smart agreements to create and strengthen future internal and external agreements. Paid Network will leverage SpiderDAO's dual governance DAO model in designing its own ecosystem governance model. And similarly, you can read about this on paidnetwork.medium.com. Paid Network partners with SpiderDAO. So guys, there's no shortage of good news. And again, going back to some of these top 10s, this on Asset Dash, but let's take a look at companiesmarketcap.com. It's just a question of when, not if. And, I think probably chances are we will probably have to go further down the list here to a relatively smaller cap company that will be the next to announce that, hey, they're going to put some of their reserves, whether it's 1% or 5 or 10% into Bitcoin. They're going to see what happens. And maybe it's kind of an unexpected, it could be a Philip Morris for all we know. It could be an AstraZeneca. We're just not sure at this point. But more and more, it'll be kind of this imperative, this positive peer pressure, if you will, just because the competitive landscape will be such that if you're not in Bitcoin at some level, if you're not divesting into Bitcoin, using it to prop up the reserves on your balance sheet, you're going to be missing out, because those that do will ultimately see those advantages and see those benefits. So I think it could be Apple. I think we're going to get an announcement from them in the relatively near future. But besides Apple, what do you guys think will be the next company to either announce Bitcoin integration, crypto altcoin integration, or some kind of, reserve purchase out of their treasury? Let me know about that in the comments below, guys. Very, very curious to hear your opinions about that. And I think we're going to hear more and more rumors now through the grapevine, given that Tesla has so much skin in the game. But that about wraps it up for today. There is so much news, guys, so do be sure you're following us on all the regular social media channels. Our website is altcoinbuzz.io. Keep checking in for all the latest. Like, subscribe, share, and hit that bell to receive notifications, but only if you enjoyed today's video. Best of luck, guys, if you choose to invest on this Tuesday. Stay safe out there, and as always, we hope to see you again soon in our next video. Take care.